WNBA legend Lisa Leslie has a blunt message for the Indiana Fever, but it's one that a million fans and maybe the team itself don't want to hear. And the Fever are scratching and clawing for a playoff spot, and everyone is waiting for Caitlin Clark to return. But one of the greatest to ever do it is waving a giant red flag. And this isn't just some friendly tip from a vet, it's a stark warning born from her own painful past about a choice that could impact the next decade of Caitlin Clark's career. So, to really get the weight of this warning, you have to understand what's on the line because the Indiana Fever, as you guys can see on the screen, is in a dogfight after years of rebuilding. They are finally in a playoff conversation, holding on to the sixth seed, as you guys can see on the screen here. And they hold a 20-18 record. And with only a handful of games left in the 44 game regular season, every single play matters and right is right there for the taking. But there's a massive Caitlin Clark size hole in their lineup, and their superstar, the cornerstone of the franchise, has been on the sideline since July 15th. And with a right groin injury, and she has missed 16 straight games, a brutal blow for a team literally built around her. And it's not just the groin. Her sophomore season has been a war against her own body, marked by a left quad strain and an ankle bone bruise. And all told, she's played in just 13 of the team's 38 games this season. And in her absence, players like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston have been incredible, shouldering the load and keeping the team in the hunt. But let's be real. The Fever are a different team without Clark. The pressure is on. The injury report is getting longer, and three other guards are already out for the year. So the team is clinging to that playoff dream, and the temptation to rush that game changing star back for one last push is huge. And that's exactly why Lisa Leslie is sounding the alarm on CBS Sports. So now I want you guys to hear what she had to say in regards of sounding the alarm on, Caitlin Clark, and basically telling her, like, don't return. So check it out.
Mid-July, but perhaps could be nearing a return to help the playoff push. And she could provide quite a boost, Lisa.
She could provide an amazing boost. But again, I'm just going to put my coach's hat on, my GM hat on, my you want to see Caitlin Clark for the longevity of her career. I'm just thinking, me personally, I would not put Caitlin Clark back on the floor this season. And the only reason why I say that is because I had the injury that she had. That deep groin injury is nothing to play around with. It can feel like you've never had it. You make one move, one cut, boom, she's back in the same spot. I don't know that it's worth risking it. If they get the eighth spot and you get into the playoffs, is it really worth looking at Minnesota round one? I don't know. That's just my opinion. What you think?
Man, I mean, it would be lovely to get her back, but we care about Caitlin Clark playing basketball for a very, very, very long time. And so you don't want her to return unless she's 100% healthy. I'm thinking about more so from the player perspective of the pressure that Caitlin Clark is facing, getting back on the court. Her logo was just released a few days ago. I mean, obviously, we've seen the fans and the number of people in attendance for the Fever. And so it's been tough, I would imagine, mentally for her to have sat out this many games her second season. I'm wondering if that pressure is starting to get to her a little bit about just returning this season and showing us that you can play basketball again.
Yeah, I mean,
So let that sink in. Not for the last few games, not for the playoffs. Shut her down. And Leslie's reasoning is simple and comes from a place of hard won experience. And a groin injury, she explained it. There's nothing to play around with. She warns that no matter how good Clark feels, the risk of re-injuring is terrifyingly high. And no, you can make one move, one cut. You heard her, boom, she's back in the same spot. Leslie said, so this isn't some hot take for TV. This is a direct warning from a titan of the sport who knows the physical grind of the WNBA better than almost anyone. So when Lisa Leslie tells you to be careful, you listen. And she's not just talking about one playoff run. She's talking about protecting a generational talent for the next 10 years. So why is Leslie so passionate about this, right? Because she's lived it. This isn't a guess. The only reason why I say that is because I had the injury she had, right? So Lisa Leslie revealed she described her own frustrating fight with a deep groin injury and how it lingers. And it's the kind of injury that attacks the very core of a player's game and your ability to explode, to change direction, to create space. And Leslie talked about how an injury like that never really leaves you. You just learn to play with the pain, and it's a ghost that follows you, affecting the lift on your jumper and turning every sharp cut into a roll of the dice. And when Lisa Leslie warns that Clark could be back in the same spot with one wrong move, she's speaking from memory. And that personal experience gives her words a weight that no analyst can match. And she's looking at this from a front office perspective because is it worth risking Clark's long term health for a tough first round matchup, possibly against a powerhouse like the Minnesota Lynx? And for Leslie, the answer is a clear and resounding no. And you don't gamble with your franchise future for a long shot at one playoff series. So this puts the Indiana Fever and head coach Stephanie White in a tough spot. And on one hand, you got a legend sage of ice to protect your biggest star. And on the other hand, you have a team that has fought tooth and nail for a real shot at the postseason. And Coach White is walking with a tightrope because she has repeatedly said the team is taking things day by day, and the most important thing is for Clark long-term health, and there's no firm timetable for her return. But also, I want you guys to see in regards of Caitlin Clark has been taking part in non-contact portions of practice that we know,
Well, Caitlin Clark here
as you
for the
guys hear.
Indiana Fever again tonight, but Indiana's offense humming here in the early going. They've hit 5 of their 6 shots on an 8-2 run, and the Fever have a 15-7 lead. Caitlin Clark, who did start taking part in portions of shoot-around, non-contact portions of practice. She has yet to take part in a full practice, and Stephanie White reiterating today she will need to do numerous of those, ideally even 5 of those before she can play. But a couple steps in the right direction the past few days.
I mean, it's great.
So there you have it. So the hope is lingering, and I can understand the itch that Caitlin Clark is having. And this is also Stephanie White talking about, the live practice sessions and the build endurance and stuff around Caitlin Clark participating, in the team's walkthrough before the second straight game.
Caitlin, able to go through your little walkthrough or whatever you normally do, and what do you want to see ultimately to get comfort whenever the time comes?
Yeah, she went through our walkthrough yesterday. Today it was very short, prior to game time, but she went through it yesterday, and I want to see her in practice, live in practice. I want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in game, and to be able to do that and sustain from an endurance standpoint. And that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. And as most of us know, when we get fatigued, we look different, and see how she plays through fatigue.
Sorry to follow up that. Do you have
So that's the reality of things, right?
practices left for that opportunity, especially this late in the season? They get changed depending on your schedule, things like that.
Not necessarily probably team practices, but being able to put together, threes, fours, and different things that we can go against and match up with.
Well, there you have that. And this was her, head coach Stephanie White on Caitlin Clark's impact in the launch of her new Nike signature logo that you heard Lisa Leslie talk about. So check out.
It's special. I mean, there's very few people who get the opportunity to say that they have a logo and to make the impact that she makes, not just I think in the sport, but globally, just by being who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together, and I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the chairs out there, it's really cool. And it's really special and shoot, I'm talking about it right now, and just feeling the intense gratitude for me personally, being in women's basketball, to be able to be a part of this moment, and to celebrate with her.
So there you have that. So White has laid out a clear and difficult checklist Clark has to complete. That's why I showed you guys those clips. And it's not enough to just feel good. And White needs to see her live in practice. You heard what she said. She needs to see Clark not just build up her endurance, but prove she can handle full contact, even when she's exhausted. And as White noted, players look different when they get tired, and that's when re injury often happens. And Clark has been doing non contact drills, but she hasn't been cleared for the real thing. And with the clock ticking on a regular season, practice days are running out. The team is hopeful, but they are smartly slow playing it and focus on getting her to 100%. And it's a brutal balancing act between winning now and protecting the future of the entire league. And this whole situation drags the WNBA into a debate that has taken over men's sports for years. Because remember the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard? And it happened to be, load management became a buzzword for controversy, but it was really a strategy to keep an elite injury prone player healthy for when it mattered most, a title run. And it was about giving up regular season games so to be ready for the playoffs. Or look at Zion Williamson in the NBA, right? His career has been a constant battle between his incredible talent and a body that keeps letting him down. And the argument around Zion has always been, when do you push him to play and when do you protect him from himself? And this is the WNBA's first massive high profile test case in the modern era of player health. So, do you risk the future of the player who's driving ratings to the roof for a shot at the sixth seed? Or do you make the tough, unpopular call to shut her down, choosing the next 10 seasons over the next 10 games? And Lisa Leslie's warning isn't just about a growing injury, it's about a new way of thinking. It's a long term investment, not a short term gamble. So here's where we stand. You got the Indiana Fever, a team that has battled its way into the playoff contention and is carefully managing the return of their superstar. And they are being cautious, but the idea of having Clark back for a playoff run has to be tempting. And on the other side, you have one of the most respected players in basketball history, Lisa Leslie, using her own painful past to send a clear message. Don't do it. Protect the player, protect the future. And there is no easy answer here, but I think the answer is quite obvious. Shut her down and let her, go on for the next season. But it's the ultimate sports dilemma. Win today or win tomorrow. So what should they do? Should the Fever listen to a legend who has been down this exact road? Or should they trust their process and get their star back on the court for a shot at glory? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Who's right, the team or the legend? And for more breakdowns on the biggest stories in sports, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to always go with the legend because I love listening to old folks because they have lived this life before and they have more experience and their wisdom is limitless, right? The wisdom you cannot, it's not monetary. It is limitless, it is ever changing, and it's something that you can't buy. So I'm on Lisa Leslie's side. Shut her down. I know you want to win or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, we thinking long term here. And on top of that, we don't want to ruin our blessing. Caitlin Clark is a blessing not only to the Indiana Fever, but the franchise. Obviously, y'all got to the playoffs last year, her first rookie season. So just to be able to get her 100% and to be able to go longer and actually get through the playoffs and actually fight to the fullest with your full ammunition is the best bet. But I love my old people. I love listening to what they got to say because they got so much wisdom and experience that can teach you to prevent doing things that will cause you problems because you'll be 10 steps ahead because you already got the wisdom from somebody who been in that exact role. That's why people should get mentors and in their goals or careers that they're looking forward to pursue education wise and things like that, right? Because they've been down that road so they can easily tell you things to prevent, to make things not only be more, and things are already intentional, but for things to not have so much of a detour, but it'll be your own experience, and then you'll be able to give wisdom and actually be knowledgeable and expertise wise when it comes to the game. And in this case, Lisa Leslie has her expertise because she's been down that road. But on that note, family, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Catch you in the next one. Thanks. Peace.